were a 2-year disappointment, which is rare by their standards. Well, they've played well for a long time now to get themselves off the mat and back to a couple of games over 500 and in a wild card position right now. The wild card's right around 500 in the National League, and the Cardinals are there, winners of 3 straight and 7 of their last 10. The Pirates always seem to be on the verge of collapsing and dying, and they just kind of won't do it. They're around 500 too at 37 and 40. They have a young team. They probably are a team that is 1 or 2 years away from being real good. A lot of people thought this year would be the breakthrough. It hasn't been yet. The Cubs are kind of in the middle of a rebuild, but maybe a little bit better right now than we're expected at 37 and 41, and I would say the Reds are a disappointment. Somehow they have a winning run differential and a record 5 games under 500, which obviously isn't particularly good. Out west, the Dodgers have generally been good, and we talk about high standards. They are playing slightly over 600 ball, and I think most people would say they could be better. They've had a lot of injuries, and they have incredible play by Shohei Ohtani, who continues to hit mammoth home runs of 450 feet or more. Seems like every one of his home runs is like that. And they are the only team in the West over 500. The Padres are at 500 after losing 6 of their last 10. The Diamondbacks are slowly but surely working themselves back into contention. The Giants surged for a while, but they're not a very good team on the road. They've played well at home, but they're under 500 by a healthy margin now of 6 games, and the Rockies is one of that handful of teams that just aren't very good. They are 27 and 51. They draw big crowds at Coors Field despite that record, but not very good out in the Rockies for the Rockies. Well, tonight is a championship night in sports. It's pretty cool. A Monday night, a lot of times in non-football season, doesn't have much going on, but tonight, for a local sports fan, pretty cool. You keep your eye on the Royals. Got the College World Series. Tennessee and Texas A&M play a deciding 3rd game. And one of the most exciting things in all sports, the 7th game in an NHL playoff series. And this time it's for all the marbles with all kinds of things on the line for both the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. The Panthers trying to avoid disaster and blowing a 3-0 lead. This is their chance to win their first ever Stanley Cup. They have been a pretty nondescript franchise where players go there at the end of their career, maybe because it's nice there and they can get a decent paycheck and sit in the sunshine during the day and play hockey at night. Well, they've created a pretty good club. They made the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They made it again this year and looked like they were on course to win the championship with their 3-0 lead, but Edmonton has stormed back and looked like the far better team, winning the next 3 games easily. Connor McDavid has been out of this world. He is the sport's best player, and he has played like it. He broke Wayne Gretzky's assist record for a Stanley Cup playoff postseason already. And even though the game's in Florida, you just have the feeling that the Oilers have a real good chance to win it, and they would become the first team from Canada to win the Stanley Cup since the Canadiens in 1993. Over 30 years since a Canadian team has won the championship. I think most sports fans are probably rooting for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup in the Canadian sport of hockey more than a team from Florida to win the championship. But we'll see if the Panthers or the Oilers. This seems like either the Oilers have so much momentum they can't be stopped, or the unlikely, to me, happens, and the Panthers rise up and put everything aside and somehow win the championship, and win the championship for the first time in their history. That would be a pretty cool thing. They're going to be a cool thing no matter what. The home team will get to celebrate their first ever championship, or it'll be a record-breaking rise from the dead for the Edmonton Oilers and a Canadian team crowned champion, and even teams that are rivals of Edmonton probably are rooting for the Canadian team to take the championship. Pretty cool in a cold weather sport that we've got it tonight, a Game 7 for all the marbles in the NHL. Well, coming up next, there's a whole lot going on in the world of soccer. We've got big troubles for Sporting Kansas City. The Current locally are the team that's carrying the mail. They still haven't lost, and they won big on Sunday. and we've got the European Championships, which I've been totally immersed in. And actually, before I taped this today, I watched Turkey eliminate Scotland. Turkey may not advance, but that was a pretty riveting match. I finished up today. That actually was played on Saturday. Always trying to catch up here in the European Championships. And, of course, we are just getting underway with Copa America, and the U.S. men's national team played last night, and they were winners, but was it impressive or not? We'll check in on that and all things soccer with Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star. He is our friend today on Monday Musings, Danny and Friends Sports Wrap. It's all presented by Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And if I didn't mention the golf again, let's do it. I almost went tripping along and didn't finish up with the golf because I set it up in the preview. So let's do that. Here you go. I'm not even going to go 3-2-1 or anything like that. It was Scotty Scheffler. That's what you have to know. I mean, the drama was more created by the protesters than Scotty Scheffler. At one point, this tournament looked like it was going to be great. There were 4 guys tied for the lead at 20 under. Eventually, it came down to Scheffler and Kim. Kim made a dramatic birdie after all the protest histrionics. He made a 11-foot putt to force the playoff, and then he kind of scraped it around on the playoff hole and really handed it to Scotty Scheffler for his 6th win of the year, his 12th win since February of 2022, and he's got a chance to do some really historic things this year. He already really has. He's won the Masters, he's won the Players, and he's won 6 tournaments, and you would be hard-pressed to think that he's not going to win more. Scotty Scheffler, totally dominant and in a very understated and really classy way. And I root against Scotty Scheffler, but it's to the point now, and it's only because I want some drama. And when you're watching a tournament and he's at the top of the leaderboard, you think he's going to win. And when he does, and when he did. There you go. I was considering it so inevitable, I almost forgot to give you the full golf report from Scotty Scheffler, the winner of the Travelers Championship. And there was a major crowned in women's golf, as well as Amy Yang, a very good player on the LPGA Tour, won her first major. And she played very well on a difficult Sunday, shooting 72 as others tumbled away and winning the KPMG LPGA Championship. There's your golf roundup. Now it's time to tease you and tell you that it's time to talk to Daniel Sperry about all things soccer. That comes your way next. Yes, indeed, on Monday Musings, Danny and Friends Sports Wrap, presented by ASFCA.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great. Great mac and cheese, buffalo mac and cheese, and we've got a ton of other menu items that you're sure to love. We've got a great brewer who's brewing great beer, and if you like craft beer, our guy's the way to go. And we're making great drinks, too. There's a great new distillery in the state of Kansas called Llewellyn Distillery. My brother's doing that. He makes some great whiskey and vodka and rum, and we're doing all kinds of great drinks with those beverages.
Always fun to be had at the 23rd Street Brewery, 23rd and Castle. Come on by anytime and have a good time.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed, and if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426, and we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business to Kansas City's #1 variety podcast, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you. Welcome back, and it's an incredibly busy time in the world of soccer, so who better to talk to than Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star. He covers all things soccer, and right now he's got his plate full, that's for sure. Why don't we start on a light note, Daniel?
Yeah.
The Current can't lose.
They can't.
I guess that's the good thing, and they keep scoring goals, and they keep winning, and they spread the wealth around. It's been a great story.
Yeah, they're phenomenal to watch. I mean, they are high pace, high energy. They're incredibly direct and incredibly downhill, and they are. They have. It feels like they have everything. I mean, I've seen them break down teams with a lot of intricate ball movement in the final third. Teams that want to put a bunch of numbers behind the ball and put it close to goal and just say good luck trying to get through this many bodies in this much space. They can do that. Teams want to high press them, want to play up high. They destroy them that way. I mean, they're just extremely versatile. They can play in a ton of different ways. It doesn't matter who gets hurt. It seems like the player that steps up and fills in the job does just as good of a job. It's an incredible coaching job from Vlatko, but the players have also just been phenomenal. I don't know a player yet this year who I can say has had a down game, maybe a down game here or there, but a down season. I don't know that anybody's had that. It's just it's incredible to watch. So yeah, they're a fantastic story, and they put together a really good showing in Portland, one of the hardest places in the league to go play, and they beat them pretty resoundingly with that 4-1 win.
Remarkably, though, the league is haves, incredible haves, and have-nots. I mean, the Current, the Pride, and Washington have lost one game between, or 3 games between them, and almost no draws for Washington. But the Current and the Pride haven't lost at all. So, despite all that they've done, the Current are only tied for first.
Yeah, and it's a fun top-heavy league. Orlando was really decent last year, but they scored about as many goals as they conceded. They didn't score a lot of goals in games. They were just kind of a lot of 1-1, 1-0 type of games for them, and they narrowly missed out on the playoffs. And then Orlando goes and adds Barbara Banda, and all of a sudden they're scoring goals left and right and winning a ton of games. It was funny. Goodness gracious. Sporting were never in a shot at first place at any point so far this season. But I was saying that Lola Bonta said that, Orlando played on Friday night, and they were on the plane to Portland while Orlando was playing, and they woke up. Lowe's literally said she woke up. But when they landed, they opened up their phones and saw that not only had Orlando won, but they had leapfrogged them on goal differential. And it seemed like the Current were pretty much out for blood to get that goal differential lead back, and they ended up doing it. So it's been a fun competition between those two because, really since like week 6 or 7, they've matched results every week. Orlando ties a game, the Current tied a game that weekend, or, the Current, Orlando puts up a big win, the Current matches a big win. So if you don't have July 9th or July 8th on your calendar circled for the matchup between those two here in KC, I don't know what you're doing, because that's going to be one of the, I'd be shocked if either of those teams lose before that matchup. So it's been incredible at the top of the table. But there's a very clear line of who might actually be a championship contender in the NWSL and who won't be.
Well, let's talk about a team that's far from a championship contender and all kinds of things going on with Sporting Kansas City, and none of them are good on the field, that's for sure. Another thumping in the game at Columbus. Now, losing to Columbus on their field is no shame, but the way they did it, no shots on goal, hardly any shots, period, leaking goals again in a 4-0 loss, and now somebody was going to pay the price, and it's technical director Brian Bliss who gets the gate today, mutually agreed upon, which basically he's fired. And there seemed to be in the post-game comments from Peter Vermees just sort of a resignation type of effect. It was a very short press conference and no fire, just sort of I don't know. It's gloomy right now around this team.
Yeah, it is. And I think, there's only, at this point, enough's been said about the roster and the situation that they're in. And, outside of Peter, probably the next person to blame for the roster, well, I think it can be a little bit misunderstood, would be Bliss. Brian, has been a longtime technical staff member for the team. Mm-hmm. personally speaking, he's a good guy. But, sometimes it's a results-oriented business, for one. And two, I think the biggest part of it all, I think the one that makes the most, that really should catch most eyes is not just necessarily that Bliss was,